Hello, word nerds, and welcome to the wordiest podcast in the world. My name is Spencer, and thank you for joining me on episode F24. And of course, I hope that you have joined previously, and you will continue to come to enjoy this show. The last two episodes I am skipping because I am hoping to get some guests on those episodes. So the future will determine the past will determine the future. Is it both? I don't know. Here we go with some words. The first word is famously, F-A-M-O-U-S-L-Y, adverb from 1546. Number one is in a celebrated manner. Yay! We're so happy about this thing. We're celebrating it famously. How are you using that one in a sentence? In a celebrated manner. The thing, we're celebrating it. I don't know. Number two, in a superlative fashion. This is like the most way. And it's not about fashion clothes. It's just in a method, in a way. In a, how are you using this one in a sentence too? Famously. They were famously walking down the street. They were walking down the street in a superlative fashion. So much walking. I don't know. Number three, to an unusual degree. And the synonym is very. V-E-R-Y. Just like so much. You were famously making cookies. You were making so many cookies. But before Christmas time, people like to famously make cookies. They're making tens and tens and tens of batches. Okay, I guess the first one is probably the one that I'm more used to, but I'm still not entirely sure how, like, famously. See, I think of it like famously, this person wasn't very nice. It's well known that they were not very nice. But is that in a celebrated manner? I guess superlative fashion, maybe? I don't know. It's a funny one. Oh, let's see. My sound effect today will be, oh my God. I don't know if I like that one. Does that work with what I'm trying to do? Oh, maybe, I don't know. Hey, I'm thinking too hard about this. Oh, let's just go. Brrr. Okay, perfect. The next word is our last of the F-A-M words, and it is famulous. I've never heard of this before. F-A-M-U-L-U-S. Noun from the 1825. The plural would be famuli or famuli. And this is a private secretary or attendant. So if you have somebody who is doing a lot of work for you, taking notes, planning things, your schedule, maybe getting you coffee, lots and lots of stuff, they would be your famulus. Okay, why don't we talk about where this word comes from? Because I have never heard of this before. I've heard of secretary and attendant and assistant and valet or valet, one of those. But this one is new to me. It is a Greek word, and it means assistant to a professor, and it is from the Latin word, which would be famulus, I think, and that means servant. So, yep, that's where it comes from. I wonder if this is related to any other FAM words. Seems like it would be, probably, but I don't remember any that we've come across. Servant, that's what it is, and then assistant, and then just, secretary or attendant that is private. Okay. Brrr. The next word is fan, F-A-N, first form, noun from before the 12th century, number one. We got three forms of the word fan, and they're taking up like half of this episode. So number one is any of various devices for winnowing grain. Winnowing grain. What exactly are you doing to the grain? You're winnowing it. What is winnow? I don't know. What is winnow? Maybe you're mixing it up. Maybe you're cutting it up. Maybe you're separating stuff from other stuff. Maybe, I don't know what winnowing grain is, but you got to use a fan if you want to winnow the grain. Number 2, an instrument for producing a current of air. I got one of them running right now. It's making everything a little bit cooler in here. 2A, a device that is held in the hand and moved back and forth to cool a person, and that is usually shaped like a segment of a circle and composed of materials mounted on thin rods or slats, moving about a pivot so that the device may be closed compactly when not in use. And examples of the material on this device would be feathers or paper. I had no idea that that definition was going to go on so long. I did not look ahead. And it is such a highly specific definition. It's all in there. That is what a fan is. This fan, maybe some people, you see them a lot in like Asian cultures, but a lot of other places too. It's this thing that is folded up into like this rectangle, and then you open it up and it fans out, and then it's usually, I see a lot of like folded papers with designs on them, and but sometimes feathers, I guess, and then you just see people fanning themselves. Oh, it is so hot. I need some iced tea. I think I've said this before. I'm fanning myself and it feels so good on my face. But that definition was so good. I almost want to read it again. A device that is held in the hand and moved back and forth to cool a person, and that is usually shaped like a segment of a circle. Yep, it's like an arc. There's an arc and then 2 straight points. It's a segment of a circle and composed of material mounted on thin rods or slats, moving about a pivot. The point where you open it up from, that's the pivot point, and you put that in your hand and you shake it all about. Not like a Polaroid picture. I don't want them suing me. Moving about a pivot point so that the device may be closed compactly when not in use. I don't need the fan. I'm going to close it up. Okay, 2B, this is another type of fan. A device that consists of a series of vanes radiating from a hub rotated on its axle by a motor. And that's the type of fan that is spinning about above my head. Because this room gets warm, especially when I close the door. It gets warm, and I need the airflow. The funny thing about this one is that I think when they put in the electronics, I think they made them backwards. And so number 4 is low, and number 1 is high. And I think it should have been the other way around. Oh, well, I'm used to it. I got it at a number 3 right now, which is pretty good. Number 2 is quite intense. And number 1, I would get blown away. They're fans. I don't know. They're a big part of our lives. I don't have fans at home. Anything else about fans? It's interesting to see how many designs of fans there are. There's so many fun designs people are making. We have some at work that are like almost a cylinder. They don't fan out. The pieces don't go out so far. It's like a weird sort of almost cylinder thing. Those are interesting. I was in an airport, was it Costa Rica maybe? And they had this, when you go to check in, you're in this huge room, and maybe it was when we landed, and there were these very, very large fans in the ceiling, and the brand was literally Big Ass Fan, and I thought that was very funny, and I think it had a picture of a donkey on it. I quite appreciated that. And the blades must have been 10, 15 feet long or something, I don't know. Okay, that's fine for fans. Those fans are fine. Number 2C, this is slang, and it is an airplane propeller. You call an airplane propeller a fan? Well, it's the same idea, but an airplane propeller is moving at a very, very fast pace and needs to be very specific type of blades. Hey, run those fans. Get those fans going, because we got to get up in the air. We got to take off. Those fans better be going, otherwise we ain't going anywhere. Number 3A, something resembling, something resembling an open fan. So I think, is this the fan that you open up to fan yourself with? If it resembles that, then you can call it a fan. It's not a fan. Cannot be a fan, but you can call it a fan. 3B, a gently sloping fan-shaped body of detritus, or I think some people say detritus? I don't know. But especially the synonym alluvial fan. A gently sloping fan-shaped body. So I think this is like when the river gets to the water, the shore, whatever, it sort of fans out, and there's a bunch of stuff and rocks and sand and stuff that it takes along with it, and it's just a bunch of stuff like that. I think kind of, do we need to look at what alluvial fan was? Is this something that is worth our time? Ooh, I think I'm in the right spot. Alluvial fan is the alluvial deposit of a stream where it issues from a gorge upon a plain or of a tributary stream and its at its junction with the main stream. And yeah, it shows a picture. There's like mountains, hills, and then there's a river that runs through it, and then it fans out at the end. Okay, fan-like. Fan-like, that is an adjective. Is it like a fan? It's like a fan. The etymology says this is from the Latin vanus or vanus. They would say vanus, V-A-N-N-U-S, but it doesn't say what that is, and there is more at the word winnow, which we saw in that first definition, winnowing grain. So I don't know what that is, but it's related. The second form of fan. Oh, I do want to say that in your home fan, that little fan with the cage around it, you've all done this, but it's so fun, or maybe it's like the rectangle thing. It's so fun to put your mouth up to it, and you don't get hurt because there's the cage, and then you just start talking, and you feel like you're Darth Vader or something because it gives you that weird sound effect. Okay, the second form of fan is a verb from before the 12th century, and we are starting with good old transitive. Number 1A, to drive away the chaff of, by means of a current of air. And examples of where this chaff is in grain. So maybe this is the winnowing. So you need the fan to blow over the grain to get rid of the chaff. And nobody likes the chaff. Your grain should not be having chaff. I would like unchaffed grain, please. I want my grain to be dechaffed. What is chaff? I'm not sure. But it's probably stuff you don't want. Number 1B, to eliminate by winnowing. And the thing that you are eliminating here, the example is chaff, as chaff. To eliminate chaff by winnowing, fan it away. Maybe if you put your hand like this, you can fan it. For some reason, my camera has a very open shutter because I changed the settings, and now everything is super blurry, and I don't really like that. We'll figure it out someday. Number 2, to move or impel with a fan, and the thing that you are moving or impelling is air. So when I go like this, or when that thing is doing its thing, it's fanning the air, it's moving it around, it's creating a current, and it feels so good. 3, to blow or breathe upon. To blow or breathe upon. Is that fanning? I don't know. But there's an example. The breeze fanning her fair hair. Her fair hair. Maybe her hair was fair. The breeze is the thing doing the fanning, because if you had a fan and you were fanning your hair, it would be doing a similar kind of thing. You're creating a breeze when you fan. 4A, to direct a current of air upon with a fan. Yes, yes. For B is to stir up to activity as if by fanning. The synonym is stimulate, and the example is fanning the fires of nationalism. This is a very metaphorical thing. There are no literal fires under nationalism because nationalism is not a physical thing. But sometimes you need to get the nationalism going. Maybe when people are making political speeches. Just last night, as I'm recording this, Kamala Harris accepted the nomination for presidency, which was very fun. But when you're giving a big old speech and you're trying to get people riled up, there's fires. They're just embers. They're just embers hanging out there. And so you got to put the oxygen, fan the embers, and get those fires going so the people will be nationalistic, if you want to, if that's what you're going for. So you're stirring up that activity as if you are fanning it. Very metaphorical. Number 5, this is archaic. The synonym is wave. So is this like, hello, how are you? I am waving at you. That kind of wave? Or is this the water wave? I would assume it's this one. Hello, because this is kind of a fan motion. I'm fanning at you. I don't know. Number 6, this is slang. The synonym, the synonym is spank. I don't think I have heard of this used. Spank? So if you are spanking your child, people also say fan? That sounds so much nicer. You're in trouble, so I'm going to fan you. Oh, you're going to just cool the air on my face? That would be so lovely. Thank you so much. No, I'm going to smack your butt. That's not a fan. Is it because your arm is making a sort of a fanning motion? I guess. I don't know. I've never heard of this one. 7, to spread like a fan, as in the peacock fanned his tail. Yep, that's the peacock tail literally looks like a fan. I'm sure people have made fans out of peacock feathers, probably. You opening it up. Open up your arms, open up the tail. What else opens like a fan? I can't think of nothing. Number 8, to strike out in baseball. And who might be struck out is the batter. So you fanned the batter? And why do they call it fan in this context? I'm thinking. I don't know why. I cannot. Is it because maybe that's probably it. They swing the bat, which is making a fanning motion. That's the best I can come up with. Number 9. This is a long one, kind of. To fire a series of shots from by holding the trigger back and successfully striking the hammer to the rear with the free hand. And the example of what this all is happening on is a single-action revolver. So I guess this is, you got the thing that clicks back and then it goes forward when you pull the trigger. Sometimes in movies you'll see people just go poo, 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 poo. I've always wanted to do that. Not really, but it would be kind of fun to do it in a movie. So I guess that's called fanning the gun? I guess so? Okay. Here are a few intransitive. Number 1, to move like a fan. And the synonym is flutter. Flutter? What is fluttering? A butterfly? Do they move like a fan? Kind of, yeah. I made up a phrase when I was much younger. I think I saw a butterfly fly by, and in my head I said, another butterfly fluttered by. That was a good one. Number 2, to spread like a fan. That was very similar to the one we had in the transitive somewhere. To spread like a fan. It's literally the same words. This one, though, is often used with the word out, as in, the searchers fanned out. This is no peacock tail fanning out. This is people fanning out from one point, fan out so we can find the missing person in the woods. Number 3, the synonym is the number 3 definition for strike out. And of course, we saw that in the transitive as well. Fanner is a noun, the one who is doing the fanning. The fan is a fanner. That's a noisy fan. Blah, 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 blah. We have a fan. Well, we've had a couple of fans. We had one of those that just sits on the ground and it's round and it's got the metal cage around it for safety. You got to have safety. And, they get dust and stuff in there because they're blowing air all around. And so you gotta clean them periodically. Make sure you get a fan that you can open up the cage and clean it out. Hopefully, they're making them so they're easily cleanable because sometimes they're so hard to get into those nooks and crannies and you need Q-tips and stuff. But man, they get gross. So I definitely suggest you clean your fan. The third form of fan is a noun from 1682. Number 1, an enthusiastic devotee, usually as a spectator. And the examples of what they are a devotee of would be possibly sports or performing arts or also just anything. We literally just last weekend, we went to something in the Chicago area called Fan Expo. It's an expo for fans, an exposition where the fans get to come and buy merchandise and meet people and enjoy the company of their community and dress up, and it is so fun to see everybody. It's very crazy. These things are crazy. There's lots of them. But yes, they were all fans of actors, artists, creators, whatever. Okay, but an enthusiastic devotee. Number 2, an ardent admirer or enthusiast. And like a celebrity or a pursuit, you are a fan of that person, you are a fan of that action, that thing I would like to pursue. I guess acting could be the pursuit. So I'm a fan of acting when I like to watch it and maybe do it. Someday I will do the acting. This one has an example. Science fiction fans, people who are just lovers of the fiction that is related to science. I'm a science fiction fan. I am not, an aficionado. I am not knowledgeable on all the sciencey fictiony stuff out there. But I am definitely a fan of it. I like it. I enjoy it. I like how people have been using sci-fi to talk about what could be cautionary tales on what could possibly happen in the future based on how people are seeing things are going. That is a very good use of the science fiction. So that is why I'm a fan of it, among other reasons. The etymology for this one says it is probably, I would say, definitely short for the word fanatic, which, by the way, is our next word. Fanatic, or fanatical, because this is an adjective from 1550. Woo. This is marked by excessive enthusiasm and often intense, uncritical devotion. So devoted to a thing, I am intense about my devotion, and I am not critical. It can do bad, and I am not critical about it. As in the example, they're fanatical about politics. Oh, they get so riled up, so excited when people are having political debates. It's their favorite thing in the world. I do not get fanatical about politics. I guess I get fanatical about what happens from politics. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that one. Fanatic is a noun. Fanatically is an adverb. Fanaticalism, no, I was skipping ahead. Fanaticalness, that is a noun. They were running down the street fanatically because they love the street. I would have thought that this would have been a noun, somebody who is, but I guess fanatic, fanatical, describing the thing is maybe a more common, more, I don't know. But yes, this is definitely where we get the word fan from. You are fanatical about a thing, but is there etymology for this? Oh, you know what? There is. This is from the Latin fanaticus, which means inspired by a deity, friend, or frenzied. Inspired by a deity, or also just frenzied. This is also from fanum, which means temple, and there's more at the word feast. So, it all comes back to God. A lot of this stuff comes from very religious stuff, religious or spiritual. So, temple, and then if you were inspired, frenzily inspired by a deity, you were fanatical. This is interesting. And there are fanatics of God. I don't know where we're going with this one, but it's an interesting etymology that I very much did not expect, and I will think about that every time I use the word fan. That sounded more like the plane fans. Fanaticism, noun from 1652. Fanatic outlook or behavior. I got fanaticism running through my veins because I'm so excited. What did we do at the Fan Expo? Mostly we just went to the panel for Scream. There were actors from the movie Scream, the first two movies, and we had so much fanaticism for them. It was a lot of fun. Fanaticize. The transitive verb from 1812. To cause to become fanatic. So if something affects you, maybe when you're like 10 years old, it has fanaticized you because then you are just a fan of it. You become fanatical for it for the rest of your life. When I was 13, the movie The Nightmare Before Christmas fanaticized me. And now I'm a lifelong fan and I can't help it. As much as I want to hate it, I love it. I'm wearing a shirt from it, in fact. Okay. Next is fanboy. Oh, we use this a lot these days. Oh, but it is a noun from 1919. I did not expect it to be from 1919. This is a boy or man who is extremely or overly enthusiastic, who is an extremely or overly enthusiastic fan of someone or something. I can't imagine people using this in the early 1900s. I think of silent movies from this time period. So were there fanboys? I'd love to see a sketch or something about fanboys in modern times fanning over the silent movies in like the 1920s. So it takes place in the 1920s, but they're dressed up like they're in the 2020s. Oh, I think that would be funny. Fanboy out. I'm trying to think of, oh, Faye Ray, I love you. Could I get your autograph? You're the best. Faye, were there any other, I can't think of any other silent actors because I don't know them so well. I'm sure they're out there. It's just a funny idea to me. Okay, fanboy. We fanboy. Fangirl. You know, I don't know if fangirl is in here. Let's look ahead. It should be. Yes, it is. Very good. A couple of episodes from now. So good. Yes. You can fanboy. You can fangirl. We use those terms for whoever. Is there a non-gendered version of that? I feel like there should be. I don't know what it would be. Just fan. I'm going to fan over you. Going blah, 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 blah. Next word is fancier. Noun from 1751. Number 1. One that has a special liking or interest. Ooh, I am a fancier of tea. That tea is so fancy, and I fancy the tea. We're going to talk about fancy in the next episode. But yes, they are a fancier when they like a thing. Number 2, a person who breeds or grows a particular animal or plant for points of excellence. As in, a pigeon fancier. Well, I guess they are a fancier of pigeons. They like pigeons. They are going to breed them, grow them, make them have babies, train them, and they get points for excellence? Who's given points for pigeons? I want some pigeon points. That's so interesting. What I don't know. Next is fanciful. Adjective from circa 1627. Number 1, marked by fancy or unrestrained imagination rather than by reason or experience, as in a fanciful person. Okay, they are marked by fancy or unrestrained imagination rather than by reason. So there's what they're doing, there's no reason behind it or experience. It's just fun, crazy imagination, right? I guess fanciful, yes. Oh, I'm going to wear some very fun clothes today, so you can call me a fanciful person. Number 2, existing in fancy only. What does that mean? As in, a fanciful notion. And yes, we will talk about the word fancy in the next episode. We got a few forms of that, and so we'll get to learn all about all of the different ways that word is used. Maybe we'll come back to this one so we can figure it out better. Existing in fancy only, and I don't quite understand that. This notion is fanciful because it's only in fancy. 3, marked by or as if by fancy or whim. As in, gave their children fancy names. The names are marked by fancy or whim. Are they whimsical names? I'm trying to think of in fancy. Yeah, I can't really think of like how to describe that idea of fancy that's not like, look at me, I'm dressed up, I'm fancy. It's the other kind of fancy. So we'll wait until tomorrow, the next episode, to talk about that one. Oh my gosh. I think this episode is airing on Halloween. Happy Halloween, everybody. Yay, Halloween. I wish it were a spooky episode. Okay, what else do we have for this one? Gave their children fancy names. I mean, I would think of a fancy name as being like Dame Judi Dench, Dame Flambin Flarg. I can only speak in gibberish when I'm trying to do something like that. Lots of additional things like add Von to it, or yes, Doctor, Dame, Sir. That would make it sound a lot fancier. Any other things like that? Probably lots. And that I cannot think of right now. A synonym is the word imaginary. So it's just in your head, I guess. Fancifully is an adverb. Fancifulness is a noun. So fanciful is just like in your imagination? Okay. I guess that's fine. The next word, and the last word. It's the word fancify. Fancify. It is a transitive verb from 1823, and it means to make ornate, elaborate, or fancy, as in a fancified hamburger. Hamburgers are definitely getting fancified. Over the years, we have seen people make burgers with all sorts of crazy toppings, crazy buns maybe, crazy meats, non-meats, whatever. Burgers have definitely been getting fancified. Lots of things have been getting fancified because we don't want to eat boring food. We want to eat fancy food. We want the novelty of the crazy, silly, fun thing. Fancify. What else can we make ornate, elaborate, or fancy? That's it. Just hamburgers. All right. Now I must pick a word of the episode. One of these words is really great. I don't know which one it is. It's probably fake. Today we had famously, famulous, fan, fanaticism. No, I skipped one. Fanatic, fanaticism, fanaticize, fanboy, fancier, fanciful, fancify. I think I'm just going to pick fanboy as the word of the episode because while I don't really do this outwardly, I definitely can fanboy. Sometimes I can fangirl, maybe. Get very excited. When I see a celebrity that I really like, I'm gonna fanboy. That person is really cool. They do really cool stuff. I'm gonna fanboy. Tonight, I might fanboy a little bit because we are going to see Keanu Reeves' band, Dog Star. And Keanu Reeves, he is a legend in Hollywood for so many reasons. And we saw him on the Colbert, and he was great. He took up, I think, the whole show because he doesn't do that stuff too often, and he's a big name. And then we were like, is he coming to town with his band? And he is. So we are going. We got tickets. So we're going to go do that tonight, actually. And we're very excited. And maybe he'll hang out a little bit after the show and we'll get to say hi and get a picture. And then we'll become best friends. And I will try not to fanboy. Sharon might fanboy a little bit. Anyway, that's it. Oh, let's talk about a movie. This movie is called Babes. This is Alana Glazer. I think I got her name right. And I should come up with the other actor's name correctly, so I got to look that up. But it's really about the both of them. I thought it might focus more on Alana Glazer's character, but it really focuses on the both of them much more. Which I loved. Oh, Michelle Buteau, yes, and directed by Pamela Adlon. It's so funny, and it's much more realistic than I think a lot of other sort of pregnancy, childhood-related movies. They really dig into what it's like, what's the reality, and they don't hold back. And while it is exaggerated, I felt that like Alana Glazer especially, and probably the other character too, just felt very real and natural. Like that just seems like how she is naturally. And she is one of the writers because she recently, within the last, I don't know, few years or so, had a baby. And so I'm sure she was like, oh yes, I got to talk about this in my own voice and how I want to talk about pregnancy. And I love it. And it was so funny. And there's just so many silly things that happen. So ridiculous. So you should watch Babes. I recommend Babes. And they're babes. Okay, that's it for this episode. Thank you for checking out the show, and until next time, this is Spencer dispensing information. Goodbye.